So, let's go. And on down to Casper we go, where Judy is hanging on the line. And the answer, Judy, to the first part was, I was able to listen to part of, but it's been a busy day. I was not able to watch the entire video. I'll get to it, don't worry, because it was enlightening. Could you enlighten the audience on what your beef is? Are you there?
How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
Good. I don't know. I'm having some difficulty with video as far as getting it passed on to you. I don't know.
Oh, here's what you do. Just go ahead and close out, because there was a bit of an internet problem here. Just close out my window, my website, and bring it back up and click on it, and there I am.
Okay.
Yeah, and that'll do it. Anyway, so while you're doing that, I've got a chance to watch about half of the video from Casper, and you were in front of the, was it City Council?
County Commissioner.
County Commissioner. So what happened there?
Current board. We had just, back in January 2014, we had won our court case against the commissioners for violating our constitutional rights as well as a takings. Anyway, after that, they came up with this natural expansion doctrine, and that was to eliminate pretty much grandfathering uses in the county. Okay, well, it just never stops. I always keep thinking I get to take a vacation at some point. And the other day they passed a civility rules, okay? And one of them was you get 3 minutes to talk, okay? And then if you talk once, you don't get to talk again. They're hindering your constitutional right.
Now,
they don't know it. I don't know if they just have a legal team that doesn't know what they're doing.
Right.
Because, I have to keep paying my lawyer to go to these things and correct them.
Well, let me ask you, I'm just going to play devil's advocate with you. At these county commission meetings, do they have a lot of people in the room?
No, normally there's 3 to 5 people. I mean, you could let each one talk for 45 minutes. But when you're in these meetings, it's mostly about property.
Yeah.
So you have people applying for zone changes that, you can't do that in 3 minutes.
Okay.
And I don't think they're going to expect you to do that in 3 minutes.
Well, what I was going to say is, if they had a full house, I can understand they would have to limit the speakers, but apparently they have a little bit of time. Now, are you able, still playing devil's advocate here, to go and talk to these people outside of the meetings? In other words, are they accessible during the rest of the week?
Yeah, Terry Winggerter's been really good about that. Yeah, Keating's been really good about that.
Okay.
The other ones, we've got one we're losing this year altogether. He's not going to run again. Thank God for that. The other two, the other one, he's running again, but he's kind of, he's not real receptive to people talking to him, especially when it doesn't come to his point of view.
Right.
And so you can work through 2 of them, but, the other 3 are just totally inaccessible.
Okay. Now, during this next election here that we have coming up, is there a chance any of those guys are going to be rotated out?
There'll be at least one new one, but I kind of think we'll retain Rob Hendry and Terry Winggerter. Rob has a pretty good following for ranches and farms and stuff, and Terry, he's got a pretty good following as well. The sad part is we had some really great runners this year, and none of them could get past anything because they're not, part of the Republican regime.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think from where I'm sitting anyway, the real problem more than anything else is you've got maybe 5 people at most that show up to these meetings, and so you're out there hanging out to dry all by yourself.
Well, most times, and remember when I was telling you that's how we became targeted?
Yeah.
Is because I do see what these guys are doing. I'm from back east. I watch this stuff, you're from Florida. I'm from Michigan. I've seen this stuff happen back in my 20s.
Yeah.
And I don't know if these guys are just unaware of what the real program is, or they're just, in it for themselves, or they're just, I don't know. I don't know what the problem is, but most times when you get up at these meetings, some people, when you're talking about taking a man's land for a road, of course he's going to be upset.
Sure. Are they, when they use it, and we're talking eminent domain here at this point, so if they're going to take someone's...
Not even just that, like, say a developer wants to move a business park in your area. The Board of County Commissioners is mostly about land uses.
Okay,
it's not like a city council meeting where it's about a road or, abuse of cops or any of that kind of thing. It's specifically designed for property owners, basically, out in the rural areas. We're not the city.
Yeah.
So we don't have the city problems. We have mostly land use issues.
How is your newspaper down there at covering these issues? I mean, do they...
the ones, the Casper Star Tribune kind of picks and chooses things a little bit. I do favor the Journal because there's a reporter there, Greg Slavic, that when he writes a story, it is identical to what my video is.
Right.
So, I'll go with what he has to say on it. He leaves his opinions out of it. He just reports the news. He's a true reporter.
Right. Oh, well, see, my point is if they're really, and you have to worry about not just eminent domain, but other issues with land, first thing it has to do is get out there in the press. The next thing, and this is the hard part, is get people who will be affected by this to actually start showing up to the meetings and pay attention to what's going on. Because if not, there's a small group of people who are just going to start making rules. And by the time people wake up and realize, hey, I don't have control of my land anymore, or I don't have my land anymore, it's too late. It was done. And the real problem was not the guys sitting up there on the county commission around the Casper area. It was the people who never showed up to the meetings. They are the real problem.
Well, you know what? One of our biggest problems up here is basically lack of people knowing about this. I started speaking about public notices and stuff back in 2010 to the county commissioners. I said, city council, they have it on video. You can watch it every Monday night. Then you can write to your, council members or commissioners, because then I mean, if you have internet access, you can watch the actual meeting going on. If you're, say, wheelchair bound or older, because we're spread out here. I mean, It's not like we're all in this. They call it a metropolitan area, but it is probably the furthest thing.
Let's face it, not everybody in that county lives in the city limits of Casper.
Well, we've got, 22,000 that live out in the county.
Yeah.
And those are the ones that are supposed to be voting for our county commissioners, but the city people get to do that too. So, we're outgunned. We're outgunned. I mean, if it was left up to us out in the rural areas to vote for our commissioners, a lot of those boys would be in trouble.
Yeah, I understand. Okay. All right. Well, I'll continue watching the rest of the video. I just pressed for time today, but there's the main thing. I'm calling here is good. Getting your newspaper reporters on the ball is another good thing. There's got to be some other way. Some of the people down there to get citizens in the county organized so they can show up to the county commission meetings. Because, again, if they don't, or at least get online and look at what the agenda is so they know what the county commission down there is covering.
And another problem is the city council holds their meetings the same night, the same time as our county commissioners.
Yeah.
So, you get a packed house at one, and then there's nothing at the other. Or you get a packed house at the other, and there's nobody at the other.
Well, that can be fixed, too. Yeah.
Yeah, but they won't do it. We've asked for that for, probably 4 or 5 years already, and nobody is willing to change their times. So,
well, there's the next thing. See, again, I don't blame so much the people sitting on the county commissioner or the Casper City Council. If enough people showed up and said, no, you're going to start holding your meetings at this time, they would.
Yeah, well, but what did I tell you before? They're trying to make a living now.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got all this smart growth and development going on. People are being attacked from more corners than I care count. And they just, they're trying to find a place to live in, $1,200 a month rent housing now?
Yeah, it's a boom town in Casper right now. That's what's going on. So, okay, let me ask you this real quick. Smart growth. So does Casper, Wyoming have a sustainability coordinator?
Yeah, we've got, it's called the Casper Development something or others, and there's 9 of those guys, and they're making parkways and all kinds of wonderful things that we really don't need.
Yeah. Those things come naturally if you just let the market handle it.
Well, the free market is what built America, as far as I ever knew.
Yeah. Well, I think what I think happened. Maybe you and I just haven't found it in the history books yet. But I guarantee you, before the first settlers came out here, a zoning board came out with sustainability coordinators, and they laid out the grid of everything that was going to happen, because nobody was going to be able to travel all the way across the Bozeman Trail without properly placed porta potties and rest stops and things like that.
Hey, you know what? I dig the fact they make all these walking trails.
Yeah.
And I'm going, you know what? I go out, I drive all day long most of the time during the day, because I chase parts for a business. And I look at these walking trails and I'm going, the only time they're busy is on a Saturday morning. There's mom, dad, the kid, and the dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
It cost us $8 million.
Yeah. Well, this is, you've heard of, everybody's heard of keeping up with the Joneses. One of the problems that cities have, and even, I don't consider a place like Casper a big city.
It's a town.
But they want to keep up with the Joneses.
People.
They look at the bankrupt major cities across America. We need to be more like them. Look at all the neat stuff that they have. And there's the downfall.
Well, we just got a hockey, our event center, which has been on the public taxpayers' back for about 8 years. If they would just get the concerts in, they could probably support it. Now we're paying for our broke-down ski area. Then we're going to build a hotel convention center with, 13 hotels in town. Mm-hmm. Most of them starving to death at any given moment.
Right.
It's a waste of taxpayers' money is what they do. They make this little Christmas wish, and they go for it.
Yeah, it's debt down the road because, this whole area is boom and bust cycle. And so the next bust that happens, they're going to have to deal with all that debt.
Oh, but what about diversity, Glenn?
Oh, of course. I'm sorry. Did I forget to mention diversity?
You forgot diversity.
My fault. You and I just don't know what we're talking about. That's all. We look around at all the other cities around America that have gone bankrupt doing the same thing, and we just assume that that's going to happen to Casper and Wyoming too, and Gillette. I mean, no, these people, Casper and Gillette, they're not going to go the same route just because they're doing the same thing, are they?
No, we're not going to end up with all these business parks that stand empty for years.
No.
We're not going to end up with, and what kills me is I watched us go down the tubes in Detroit. I worked for Chrysler.
Yeah.
And
so you were there.
$50 an hour. Yeah.
Yeah, you were there. You saw what happened to Detroit, and you don't want it to happen to Casper.
And I beg these guys all the time to look at that and say, you really, really need to take a lesson. If it's needed, it will be built by the private sector.
There you go.
Somebody will see that there is money to be made.
All right. Hey, thanks for calling in. I appreciate it.
All right. Get a look at that video, and I'll get back with you next week or so and see what you think about it.
All right. Sounds good.